There she is. She's running, fully serviced up. No clunking, nothing crazy. Haven't drove her yet, but sounds great. She hasn't started in over a month. But yeah, pretty stoked. Alright guys, what is going on? Welcome back to the final video of this build series for the transmission. What we're going to do today is we're going to tie up all electrical connections. We're going to get all those plugged in. We're going to get the shift linkage on there, get the cooling lines on there, put the torque converter bolts in, and put in our new rear drive shaft. So yeah, I'll show you guys that here in a minute. When the time comes to install it, we'll get that thing put in there, start this thing up, service it obviously, and then go from there. So stay tuned. Hopefully you guys enjoy this upload. Alright guys, we got the valve body installed. It was kicking my butt. I did break this tab on the 8-pin connector, but I'm going to get another one when I change the filter and everything. I do the service on it. I'll pull it down. But the trick is when you're putting this in, you got to get that parking pawl through this area into the parking pawl. If you can rotate this, the output shaft, it should seat itself. That fought me for about a good 30 minutes. I did call a few buddies of mine just to make sure we were good on that, but going to put the screws in to secure it, put the pan on, and wrap and put the filter on and go from there. Alright boys and girls, this thing is finally coming together. Valve body's in, our deep pan is on, filter's in, everything is there. Next thing we need to do is install our sensors, neutral safety switch, got a new overdrive housing speed sensor. I got new AN fittings, go here and here, put our lever on for this guy, our shift lever, and there's our 8-pin connector, and then we got a new throttle valve. So she's making her way and getting done. It's slowly but surely. You know, I'm pretty busy at the house with the newborn and everything, so I haven't had much time to mess with this. Doesn't seem like it to you guys because you know it's happening pretty quick, but our parts table is pretty much limited to a Yingling, some minor small parts, a torque converter, our trans mount. I got a new rubber bushing trans mount and our flex plate. I do have a reusable filter, or excuse me, gasket. I'm not going to mess with this until after we service it. I'll put it on. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. Everything's wrapping up pretty nice. I'm gonna go ahead and knock these last parts out and then throw her on the stand and get her ready to go back in the truck. So enjoy. Alright, boys and girls, final assembly is pretty much done. She's ready to throw in the truck. All of our sensors are in, our caps. We have new AN fittings. Everything looks good. Got everything tightened down. Just ready to go back in the truck. I'm not going to put the TVA motor on until we get back in there. The sensor that plugs in is like right in this area, so you literally have to pull it off in the truck anyway. So she's going. Alright guys, you can see the mess here. Got trash everywhere and it's pretty dirty, but went under here and got it cleaned up. Let me show you. Got the frame rails cleaned up. Let me scoot up. Got all the grease and whatnot off of there. We got our billet flex plate in there with our ARP hardware and some Loctite. We pushed out the fluid out of our lines, the excess fluid that was in there. Fluid is pretty clean that was in there, so dripping a little bit, but everything looks good. So got over here, cleaned all this up the best I could, hit it with some Scotch-Brite. See, we got our transmission jack there. About to put her on there and see if we can get her under the truck and get her mounted up. I'm not looking forward to this, but hey, gotta do what you gotta do. Alright, so we got our torque converter in. Our next step is to jack this thing up. Pretty ghetto. The frame sits at about 25. The top of the bell housing sits at about 29.5. Literally just need to jack it up enough to push the transmission under there and put her, you know, get her under the truck, and then I can lower her back down. I got her on these monster jack stands over here. They're frame jacks. The driver's side does come off, but the the passenger side, they have tabs on them, so it's like a flat plate like this, so the frame won't actually slide off the jack. I think I've mentioned this before, but I absolutely hate messing with trucks and vehicles on jack stands, so I'm gonna do my best to get this done in a quick, timely fashion. At least I can just get this under the truck and then start throwing her in, because I just need to get this thing done. If you guys have been following the videos, it looks, you know, pretty quick in like a couple weeks, but I'm going on a month now. So I just need to get this thing thrown in. That way I can lower the truck back down to a reasonable state. I'll probably put the front tires on the ramps and work on it that way instead of it being so high in the air. But here we go. Let's try to get this thing underneath the truck and get going. Now, if you guys just didn't hear that huge sigh of relief, I'm done with getting it back under there. Let's get under there and throw her in. All right, guys, we got the transmission in. Got all the bell housing bolts tight. The torque converter spins freely, so that's a good thing. The bell housing bolts hold a lot of stuff. So there's a wire harness. Let me show you guys. There's a wire harness bracket it holds there. This drain tube goes on the very top over there next to that wire harness bolt. And then over here, it's kind of hard to see, but the dipstick. All right, and this is our last piece of the puzzle. Just got to throw this joker in. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to Scotch-Brite some of the paint off of this surface, because I know this seat's inside of the overdrive housing, and I don't want to have a hiccup while I have this heavy thing trying to get it all attached. So I'm going to knock that out real quick and then see if I can manhandle her under there and put her in. So here we go. Alright guys, so you just seen that. We just got the transmission installed, got the transfer case installed. That out in about 3.5 hours kind of by myself, you know, and filming, so it wasn't too bad. But I think the hardest part's behind us. We just got to get the electrical connections and all that stuff and the cooling lines hooked up to it, and I think we'll be ready to go. So alright guys, we got all of our connectors in. It's our electronic transfer case, our overdrive speed sensor, we got our cooling lines on, we have our shift linkage, neutral safety switch, we got our new throttle valve. That seems to be everything. So, yep, all the linkage is done. Let's get to servicing her. All right, one thing I forgot to mention was we got to do the torque converter bolts. They're grade 8 hardware. They come from Revmax with your actual torque converter. So here it is. They insist on you using these. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use some red Loctite. I got my barring tool, and then I got my actual socket to throw it in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to align it in the hole, and I'm going to torque it down hand tight with the ratchet. So what I'm doing there is I'm giving myself enough slack to move the flex plate back and forth if I need to line up a bolt to get it in there. There's only 6 of them, so that's what we're going to do. I'm going to try to do this from the top of the motor. When I took them out, I did it from the bottom. I'm going to try it from the bottom and go from there, because the access hole is, you guys can see that right behind the turbo. That's where our barring tool goes at, and that's where the bigger holes where you put the bolts in. So I'm gonna work that from the bottom and go from there. All right, so you guys just saw in that last time lapse that I was just doing the torque converter bolts. You saw the first one I didn't do with Loctite. That was my spacer. Not really spacer, that was my placeholder so I could do the rest of them. And then I took that last one out, put some Loctite on there, and then I just torqued them up. So I went around and torqued them twice. So I hit them initially with a ratchet, as tough as I could get it, and then I put the torque wrench on there and I got it. And I wanted to make sure I could get them all, and if they all moved or shifted, that I would go through it. It sucks because you only get like that much of a turn every time you do the socket, so it takes a while to rotate that torque converter and that flex plate. So we are buttoned up. The only thing left that I took off that I need to install other than the drive shafts is this plate. What I'm gonna do off camera right now is I'm actually just gonna go ahead and clean the bolts for the rear drive shaft. Just put a wire wheel on them, clean them up, make sure the threads are nice, and when I put it back on, it's you know, it's an easy process. I'm not fighting against dirt and debris. So here is the drive shaft I have. I have a 5-inch aluminum drive shaft. They used my stock ends, and then they pretty much built this thing, you know, for me. So got this out of Oklahoma City. I'll put their link in the description, or I'll put their name at the bottom of the screen. Probably just put their name at the bottom of the screen. But I took them old drive shaft. They literally just used the pieces they need, and they got it back to me. So yeah, that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and start cleaning up those bolts, and then I'm gonna throw this joker in. Just wanted to show you guys my shaft one more time before I put it in the truck. This thing is a heck of a lot lighter than what it was. I say the old one is about 3 times as heavy as this one. So with all the carrier bearing and all that other stuff, this is just a 5-inch aluminum drive shaft. So we should definitely see some nice ride, I guess, a smoother drive line and less vibration. So put you guys on a time lapse and watch you guys, or let you guys watch me put this thing in. All right, just got done servicing the transfer case. Put about 3.5 quarts on there. She's kind of at an angle, so as you guys can see, she's still on the jack stands. Just gives me a little bit more clearance to get under there, but once she's like leveled out, I'm gonna check the fill level again of the transfer case. Probably needs another 1/2 quart if I'm thinking, but we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get the transmission serviced up. I'm gonna check it. I'm probably gonna put 2 gallons in there for right now, see how it looks, and then just add it as needed. I'll start it up and throw her in neutral, and then run through the gears and hopefully get her serviced all up. I went with this Castrol Transmax Dexmark. So this is Dexmark is what they recommend using. So I'm gonna do that. I have 1, 2, 5 gallons of it. So hopefully that should be enough. 5 divided by 5 times 4 is what, 20 quarts. I know I got an extra one just for the service later on, but yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get this thing going. So. All right, here we go. First startup. Nerve-wracking as hell, so here we go. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up today's video. You see behind me, she's there. She's in one piece. Our next video, we're going to talk about the review and how it drives and everything like that. I got some clips as soon as I got driving with it, but she's got some miles on her now, and I'm also going to show you guys some other mods we're going to do. Actually, I'm not going to keep it a secret from you guys. So we have rear pinion seal kit. Ours is leaking. Need to get that fixed. We have our front drive shaft hoops. And if you come over here, excuse the mess with all the Amazon boxes. We have our rear drive shaft hoops. So we're going to get those painted up and thrown on the truck in the next video. And then we have a ton more stuff up here we need to knock out. So once again, guys, appreciate you guys watching. You guys are awesome. Keep commenting, liking the video, share the video if you guys can. And just a huge shout out to Revmax for hooking me up with these parts and getting me this transmission built sooner than I wanted to. So pretty grateful for their help and their support over there. Truck drives pretty dang good, shifts awesome. She's pretty firm, but hey, I'm pretty happy with it. We'll cover that in the next video, but till then, we'll see you guys on the next upload. Have a good one.